Saturday. I'm back like I promised. Oh, hold on. Gotta plug in my internet so I don't lose you later. Like I said, I probably wasn't gonna have time to get back to finishing day 11 yesterday, so here I am now. Where we left off, we were on day 11. I had written two good tests for two of these. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on. Two good tests for two of these rules. The last rule is it has to have three like in a row. The characters, let's see, HIJKMO, right. We weren't allowed to do O, L, or I right there, which which definitely prevents any runs, including those numbers, because they're forbidden, right? So that's kind of helpful that we can sort of wipe out the whole set here, right? So there's only 15 sets. I'm really tempted to do sort of like I did with the forbidden words and sort of have a required words, right? And have it take the string and iterate through those 12 through those 15 different sets. So I think that's just what I'm going to do. It'll be easy enough. Let me copy this one and get moving. So let's see, and we can use these same ones, and we'll say as run, as straight. GHT has straight. And that's straight. And what should we got? We should the first one is true because it has a straight. The second one is false, I think. FFG fails the first requirement, which is a straight, so it should be false. Which one is this? BBCC. This one right here. Let's see. Let's just look at it. ABC should be true because it has ABC. If GHIJ ABC, this has ABC, so it's also true. Right here. This is false, and this should be false too. We probably just get rid of this. And remember, this is just assessing this one rule has straight. Of course, it doesn't like that because let's see. So I'm gonna just copy this one. Let's throw it below here. It's gonna do a string and a bool. We're going to have to assume it's false and return false unless we can prove that it returns true. Oh, what happened here? I don't know why that said Ruby date. I'm not doing anything in Ruby. Weird. Okay, so we'll call that require. We're going to range through require. We're going to call that each of those straights. Passwords coming in. All right, and then we're going to have to copy all those things. All right, so let's see. I'm sure that I could make something that iterates over these, right? To say, maybe I could do that. What I'm wondering right now is whether it would be prudent for me to just make a string the alphabet, right? And iterate over that in blocks of 3, right? To make that string ABC. Grab that. First test it to see if it has a forbidden character. Skip it if it does, right? It would be extra steps, but it would be more I mean, you can imagine that one of the rules in the gotcha at the end is going to say, "Oh, nope, it needs 4 letters in a row for a straight," or something like that, which would only require me to change one function, right? So let's do that. Let's say, okay. Is that how you spell alphabet? A to Z. That's what we got. And it is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, J, K, L, M, N, all right. So it is that string. And then what we're going to do is, I wonder if we can, let's see. There's something in Python that you can sort of do that cycle through blocks. I forget what it's called. Let's actually look that up first. I think it's in the itertools library, and there is so this is chain. Combinations, permutations. What is it? There's maybe it's not itertools. This is it right here. Pairwise. But it would be sort of more extensible than that instead of pairs. I don't want to permutations. All right, let's see. I don't know if this is. I mean, I guess I could just do a for loop, right? All right, so let's see. And we're gonna want I equals 0. We're gonna have one of those. 0 while I is less than the length of a to z minus 2, right? Because we're only doing it in sets of 3. We want to end on x, right? And plus plus. Okay, so here we're going to be getting our string. No, we'll declare it. We'll declare it in here. Straight equals, what was that I did to join? Oh, it was format. Is it? Why isn't it giving me any like hints here? Oh, that's why. All right. All right. So we're gonna format, these here. So we're gonna have and this might get me because I don't know if these are. This is a. Here. I think this is right. Why is it mad at me about this? That's what. So string, and it's going to be do I happen to make array? I don't. So we could just I know it's an easy one. I'm just not that's not what I want at all. I don't think I want slices either. Isn't there just a split? There we go. String split. That's right. Split. This is the first part. The second part is nothing, right? So now we'll be able to split through this, and we'll say that we want then a to z I, right? So that's the first one. And then we'll let's copy these. This will be +1. And this will be +2. All right. So this should make us a string, right? It is a string. We've created a string with just the 3 letters, right? Now we're going to dump some logic in here to say if, so we have this not forbidden. So we'll say if not forbidden, straight, right? So this is a true false. It's going to return true if it's not forbidden. That will exclude all of the forbidden characters, right? So any of those sets like that might include this right here, for example, I, J, K will not be included in this, right? So if it's not forbidden, then what we're going to want to do is see if it contains that, right? So let's get rid of this. Right, so we've created our slice, our array here, right? Our of all the sets of letters. We're generating sets of 3 letters and loading them into this as we iterate over the alphabet. And we're checking to see if that's generated is a valid straight based on our like letters that we don't want. Though, I mean, honestly, we'll probably have already rejected something as false, before then, right? And have looped over it. So maybe we wouldn't even get here in the first place, right? But because this is probably the most intensive one, so it'll probably be the last one that we test. So, and if it contains that, then we're going to return it as true, right? And I think that should be all that we need to do. Let's go ahead and test it. Doesn't like it. All right. Why doesn't it like it? Let's look. 29. Okay, good. It's the first one. HIJKLMN. Okay. Oh, okay. This is the problem now. I've incorporated that test of the I, O, and L into this test, right? Maybe I shouldn't do that because like I said, if I run this test first and it has those characters, then it's not going to pass anyways, right? So let me just comment out this part and slide this part back over, right? What did I just do? And that should test it properly now, right? It passes. I'm going to leave this in here as a comment because I'm curious as to what sort of the next part will be. I already wrote it. I'll leave it there. All right. So now we have all of our tests that test those words. Now the final thing that we're going to have to do is iterate over what that next password is. How do we go, what their example is, XX, XY, XZ, YA, like how do we step up that way? I have no idea. So let's see if we can figure something out. Oh, maybe that's what it is. No, iterate over runes. It's not iterates. Iterate's not the word. I'm looking for increment, right? Increment. Yeah. Increment string. number. Oh, I don't like any of this. Part of me wants to do something stupid like make a map, right? And you know the problem is that it's like every time I do it, I don't want to have to take my string, build it out into a map that like use a map to turn it into numbers, right? Increment it, shift it back into letters, and then test it. That just seems ridiculous and long, especially because I spent all this time um, doing stuff like making and this is probably the stuff that I probably should have thought about the first thing, right? How do I increment this? I mean, that's an important step, right? Maybe if I had done that, maybe some of my ways to say, um, does it include a forbidden number could have been handled there, where it says, does this, um, does this array contain 15, right? Which is I or something like that. I don't know what I is, right? But I wonder. I mean, this looks like it's suggesting the solution, right? So they're saying increment last. I like appending numbers onto this one. Don't want that. Um, don't I wonder? They're saying some sort of. I'm just gonna write a test. Like get rid of that. I don't know if I'm just. Spell increment. What's happening? Um, I'm gonna see if I can just do this. Obviously gonna fail. So we're getting a string, right? And actually, maybe we should say that it's a the whole password. And we're going to return string back. And I mean, I don't think. Okay. Okay. So you do need. I was hoping that it would be like super easy and I could just say +1. Um, and I mean, I could make some horrible map that says, makes one, A to B, B to C, some sort of weird ass function. Um, but oops, caps lock there. I have seen some sort of rune. Let's just look at this strings package. Let's see if there's anything in here that looks like increments. Contains rune. Let's look. Too upper, too lower. We don't want that. Let's just look at this. I feel like a rune is like a, yeah. Maybe this isn't what I'm. Man, if anybody has any advice. Oh, that might be good. All right, so we got a string. Let's just say return. Let's just see what happens, right? And I'm sure it's gonna yell at us, right? Rune. See. Can I do that? I mean, it doesn't look like it likes it. do what they do. I'm just going to print this. And then I'm going to see if I can convert, right? So string equals okay, so what I'm looking at right now is this right here. And I'm seeing what happens is, you know what I need to see? Let's see. I don't want to read all this crap. Let's just test. Let's string equals string. Wonder if I can do this. R plus 1. Because this is an int, right? No, whatever. Okay, I'm going to return a rune. And let's just see what happens in our test. Let's see what it returns. It returned an int 7. Let's see if we can R plus see if it hits 98. It does hit 98. I'm gonna say convert rune to string and string convert. What's that? ST convert rune R. All right, let's see, and if we return string here, that seems to work. Let's test it. Because it is a B. That's good news. It's a B, but it's not really what we want. But we just need to say string. Pass. Okay. So we have incremented. Let's do some tests. We gotta add some tests though, because what do we do with Z? Let's just see what Z comes back as. Save. Let So what's our logic here? So we're going to start at the end, and we're going to try to increment it. Before we try to increment it, maybe we'll see if it's a z, right? Z, we'll make it an a and increment the previous one. And that can be like on a loop, maybe. Make it an a and go try to increment on an a, try to increment. Yeah. Okay. So we'll never enter this, right? If let's see if we can get rid of this. Let's see if we can just return r plus plus. No, cannot. Okay. So we know how to increment. That's good. Now we need to just gonna do it with the character. Okay. We don't want to do z, right? Do we want to increment it? The reason I'm wondering now is we could return, if we could return within here, if equals z, return a, right? Else do the rest of it, right? And that would work, right? The question is, what's the point, right? I mean, it would be nice if we could do something like return a string and a bool, which is like, yeah, it's a, but also now you have to right, so true would come back to say that you need to pop up another character, right? And we could look for that. Let's I think that is a nice way to do that. I don't know how to test for that, right? Can I do that? It doesn't like it. We can't test it, so we're not going to do it. I have decided. We'll have to handle that some other way. Okay. Right. So all these should do things. What else should we test? Hij, because we're still gonna iterate over stuff. QR. No reason any of these shouldn't pass. Okay. So we've tested incrementing. Now we need to test getting that next string. Let's right. Right, this is what we're looking for. I don't know how many, test cases we really need. All we need to do is see that we can do one increment properly, right? And it's always going to be that next bit, right? Let's say right, to make sure that we can make it sort of all the way through. All right. Let's see about that. I'm not gonna change that. So let's So this is where we're going to do the whole password, right? We're going to increment in one step, which is one step. Return string. Right. So what we need to do is, let's see, iterate backwards over string. Obviously, we could do sort of a from, we could turn this into an array, slice, and do a for loop and iterate backwards through it, right? We could think about it that way and then pop it back together. Maybe that would be best. Now, I'm starting to think about like each of these increment steps. Pretty ridiculous. Whatever. I'm just gonna waste. I mean, this is a compiled language, right? So it can be not optimal, I suppose. So let's think. Let's turn it into an array. Equals strings split password and split it on nothing. All right, so now we got an array, and we're going to say for I equals, so the length of this is going to be, length password. I think it's going to be -1, right? Because that's the index we're going to want to be on, right? Okay, so I length is -1. until index 0. So while I is greater than or equal to 0. I think that's right. I minus minus, which should iterate in reverse. All right. And what are we going to do? If increment if increment password I, right? So we're going to do that process, right, with that string. If that equals, does not equal A. So the only time it will equal A is if it's popped through, right? If it does not equal A, then we're done, right? We've done our increment. It's B or Z or whatever, and it only had to do that one time. What we'll do is return. There's some sort of, I'm sure it's like strings join. Let's just see. String TRIN strings join, and then the string is I gotta make it first. Well, that's fine. Password R with nothing separating it. All right. So the first thing I need to do is replace that, right? Actually, let's say we're gonna pull this out. And we're gonna say, hold on 1 second. One second, I'll be right back. Just 1 second. I've returned. All right. So we're going to, before we evaluate that, we're going to set that character to equal increment right. So we're going to set it to that, and then we're going to say if this equals A, right? Because we've already incremented it, or not equals A. Then we can just return all of this, right? So we have changed the whatever character we're inspecting, right, to the next character. If it's A, that means we've looped over, right? If it's not A, that means we're just done, right? And this is the case at any step, right? So if it's not A, we're just going to return what that is. Let's save this. So we should be able to pass 44, and we should get stuck up on 45, right? Oh, it passed. That, did I spell that right? Did I save it? What's going on here? Increment pass, increment pass. What? I mean, I guess at some point it should not equal A, right? Well, maybe I did build it. No, I did because it's cycling through, and if it doesn't equal it, otherwise, then it just goes on to do the next one, right? It increments the next one. Okay. Well, okay. That's that, right? All right. So I accidentally did that in fewer steps than I needed to. All right. So now what do we need to do? Now I think we're ready for part one. We need to build a sort of an integration test, though. Let's grab part one here. And thankfully we have some so these are just some random stuff. So if this was the input, then this would be the output because that's the next password, right? Next password after this is this. All right. So 2, that should be enough, right? Okay, so here are tests. Of course, they don't work. So what is it that we need to do? All right. The first thing we need to do is make an infinite for loop. And is that dangerous? I suppose, right? But we want to keep doing this, right? Until forever. So let's, okay, forever. What we're going to do, so data is the password, right? We're going to increment the password. All right, so we're going to say new pass equals increment data password. All right, so we've got a new password. Okay, now we're going to run our tests. If and then we're going to run our 3 tests, right? So if, yeah, I'd like to do those 2 quick ones first, right? The has pairs and not forbidden. If has pairs, you pass, and not forbidden. Oh my goodness, my kids are being loud. And not forbidden. new pass. Ooh, better yet, better yet. So has pairs, so we're just gonna say, does it fail, right? And we're going to break that. I don't think it's break. It's not like breaking out of the for loop. Continue statement forces the next iteration of the loop to take place. All right, so it's going to be continue. Then we'll increment the password again. We'll need to do this first, right? So here's the problem, right? We need to. I'll figure this out in a second. So there's two problems, right? We need to do the first change, right? And then we need to have a change within that for loop, right? So let me just do a couple of these first, right? So has pairs was one of mine, and not forbidden is the second one. Well, not forbidden should be the first one, right? Not forbidden. This is what we'll do. We'll just add these in, assuming that there's a failure, right? If not has pairs, if not has straight. New pass. All right, continue. So if it gets to the end of this, we're going to return it, right? Because, oops. Because that would mean that all three of them were true, right? Otherwise, it's popped back through that for loop. So let's give that a try. And it passes. Takes a long time, but it passes. I mean, I did it twice, right? All my tests, and did this twice. So what are you gonna do? I think we're ready to go. Because I don't want to not keep pushing on. All right, so let's go run main.go. Well, that was easy. That was real quick, right? Aha. And should we be bold? I think we should. Paste, submit. We got our star. Check part 2. What's the next one? All right, that's easy, right? We only need to, we're going to run the exact same thing, right? But why is this tabbed? Part 2 is just going to be part 1 with that as the string. We could do the same thing here. Next password. So now we're going to be running both of these, right? So those are our passwords. Another gold star. Hooray! All right. We've got our day 11 stars, and that will be it for me. Today, should we take a sneak peek? Just about an hour. Let's take a sneak peek about tomorrow's. Then I can think about it overnight. I won't do anything, but it is nice to think your way through things sometimes. So Santa's elves need help balancing the books after a recent order. Their software uses a weird format, a JSON document which contains a variety of things: arrays, objects, numbers, and strings. First job is to simply find all the numbers and add them together. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Oh boy. This seems like it was really going to be easy, but it might be weird. Let's look at, oh good. Okay, so yeah, we're going to have to maybe if we read it backwards or something and look for all the numbers, and then we can look for the, we'll see. All right. I'm sure there's some sort of a JSON parser, object parser that we have in Golang. We'll look into it tomorrow, though. All right, everybody. Hope you learned something. I learned something for sure. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.